I rise today in support of the thousands of people in the 6th Congressional District of Florida who stood together and told this administration and this Congress to turn off the taxpayer-funded spigot of government bailouts. These hard-working Americans made their point loud and clear. They do not want to see our nation bankrupt from fiscal policy that ignores the free market principles this country was founded upon and attempts to spend its way out of record-breaking debt through increased government control and expansion of inefficient bureaucratic power. Let me go ahead and read an excerpt from their 4-page declaration that over 1,800 people in my hometown of Ocala signed on April 15th, Tax Day. Quote, "We raise our voices against the arrogance and the ruinous policies of our government, a government that ignores we the people, a government that drowns us in debt, a government that forsakes the free enterprise system that has driven the engine of the greatest economy on earth, in favor of a relentless march towards socialism designed to subvert the worth of the individual and encourage the intrusion of government into all aspects of our lives." Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to have the entire tax party declaration admitted to the record, and also
without objection.
And also I have a petition signed by over 2,000 persons in Ocala who've signed this petition demonstrating their commitment to this very enormous task. Like those who attended the rally in Stark, Trenton, Gainesville, and Orange Park, I have not and will not support bailout after bailout as sound economic policy. It is unconscionable for this administration and this Congress to continue committing good money after bad. In October of 2008, the U.S. government committed an astounding $700 billion in public funds to failing private financial institutions through the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP. However, just last week, the TARP Special Inspector General reported that the total cost of TARP will cost the American taxpayer between $2.4 trillion and $2.9 trillion. It is evident that we can no longer allow government bureaucrats, such as Timothy Geithner and Paulson, to use their position in the taxpayer-funded Federal Reserve to act as a safety net for their partners on Wall Street when they failed to do due diligence and were incompetent and there was unchecked greed. I'm a strong believer in free markets, and inherent in that economic model is not every person or idea makes money. It is time for Wall Street to understand this unmistakable tenet and not rely on the Federal Reserve and the American taxpayer to continue to save them when their gambles accumulated into significant losses. Anna Schwartz, co-author along with Milton Friedman of A Monetary History of the United States, viewed by many as a definitive account of how the U.S. monetary policy turned the stock market crash of 1929 into the Great Depression, and which Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, has called the leading and most persuasive explanation of the world's most economic disaster in American history. Ms. Schwartz contends that the Treasury, through its actions, has prolonged this crisis. And let me quote here on this board: "They should not be recapitalizing firms that should be shut down. Rather, firms that made wrong decisions should fail. You shouldn't rescue them. And once that is established as a principle, I think the market recognizes that it makes sense. As a true capitalist, these titans of Wall Street should understand the risks and rewards of a free market economy and be allowed to fail, like the rest of Main Street, when they make foolish or risky decisions. Many economists look to the past to predict economic futures. It is a tested way to learn from past mistakes and avoid making them in the future. Looking to the past, we discover that Henry Morgenthau, FDR's Treasury Secretary, gave this very important quote in May of 1939 during the Great Depression. He said, "We have tried spending money. We are spending more than we have ever spent before, and it does not work. And I have just one interest. And now, if I am wrong, somebody else can have my job. I want to see this country prosper. I want to see people get a job. I want to see people get enough to eat. We have never made good on our promises. I say, after 8 years of this administration, we have just as much unemployment as when we started, and enormous debt to boot. This current economic policy of bailout after bailout and colossal government spending is just plain wrong, Madam Speaker, and the American people know it. I yield back the balance of my time.